Let me officially introduce myself and get our meeting started here. My name is Dave Rosendahl, and I'm really excited to be able to moderate the session for you today. A couple of weeks back, Drew asked me if we would help moderate, and first of all, that's an honor to be able to spend time with you today. But second, I'm just pumped at the opportunity to be able to pull all of you together and to be able to help this community of incredible people not only learn how to drive sales, not only learn how to grow your businesses, but also be able to learn from one another. That's a big objective that Drew has for our time together. So if you haven't been to one of these Mastermind events before, if this is your first time with us, let me talk just briefly about the goal of this session. If this is your first time, or even if you've been here before, consider this like a relaunch of this process. And in speaking to Drew and working with his team, it's really clear that they're really passionate about helping all of you get more value out of what they're doing for you, help you grow your business and help you drive sales. And so not only do I want to help you build stronger friendships and community and learn more about your businesses and give you insights, but I want to help you understand that this is really an ecosystem of people who are here to support you. All of the people that you can see on the screen, all of the folks that you're going to be hearing from and seeing there in the chat, this is an ecosystem that Drew and his company really want to pull together to help all of us be able to do more. Let me tell you about the agenda today. First up, I'm going to give Andrew Edinger an opportunity to say a few things. There's some things that he wants to share with everybody, so he's going to be next up here in just a moment. Then we're going to take a look at the mailer that we did in May and get some of your feedback on that. That's an important part of this process, is we want to be able to hear from you, learn from you, and gather some insights. So Ashley Sanborn is going to come on with me and help guide us through that part of the conversation. And then also, we want to give you a sneak peek at what we're doing for July and have you give us some thoughts, some input on that as well. So that'll be the third thing we do. And then where we want to try to land with as much time as possible today is here in number 4, which is the roundtable discussion. And so this is the time where we're probably going to be asking most of you to, if you're comfortable, unmute, give us some feedback. We're going to be talking about a few different topics. Again, if you'd rather chat, you can drop that in the chat and I'll read it off, or one of us will make reference to that as we go along. But the roundtable discussion portion is really where we want to spend the most time today. We've pulled out some of your top questions. When you registered, we asked you what was on your mind. And so we bucketed those questions into some of the top questions, and I'm really looking forward to digging into that and hearing everybody's perspective on some of those. And then we'll wrap up and get everybody on their way. So that's what we've got lined up for today. And with that, I'm excited to bring Drew on. So Drew, thank you for giving us the opportunity to pull this group together.
No, thanks for helping us out. Obviously, we wanted to change the format to make it more inclusive of everybody, me talking a lot less and getting more viable input. So thanks for coming aboard. There's not much really on my end that I really wanted to introduce, except for the fact to give everybody a heads up that the new, or he's been the postal master for a little bit now, Steve DeJoy, is doing some fascinating things with the mail. And he just announced a 5.5% postal increase starting in August. It sounds a little bit more intimidating than it is. It should be right around a penny. Postage isn't something that we make money on. Whatever the cost is will be the exact pass-through cost.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. And folks, if you have questions about that, like I said, please drop a note there in the chat. And then when we get into the roundtable, I'll make sure that we leave time to get into that. And with that, I'm going to move now to talking a little bit about May's mailer. I think you all know Ashley. I think everybody knows you. But if you haven't met Ashley for whatever reason, man, what an incredible resource here on the Best Postcards. I've had the opportunity to work with her to prepare for the session today. And everybody that I've had a chance to work with on this team here, she's incredibly committed to you and to your success. So real honor to be able to have her come on here for a few moments and talk to us a little bit about May's mailer first and get some feedback from you all. So Ashley, you ready?
I'm ready. Thanks, Dave, for that wonderful introduction. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah, so to get started, the May letter was one of our most successful pieces of the year. We really just wanted to get your feedback, how it worked for you. I know Lou in particular has had a lot of success and talked to you about the revenue in particular he's earned, but I'd like to just see if there's anything, you think we should change up for next time as far as the offers or how we're presenting it, or the credit card, fixed style credit card in the branded envelope really increases the open rate. So that's really why this piece has been so successful for us.
And Ashley, I know when we were getting ready, you mentioned that Kelly and Jenna, they specifically had some feedback.
Kelly's from Turnpoint, formerly T Web or still T Weber, and Jenna from LPH. But Jenna said that if she wasn't able to get on to share her experience with it, which she shared with me, I can talk to that point.
Yeah, let's hear what you had to say.
She's 3 weeks backed out and has 49 install appointments. It's good to see an existing client do really well, but it's also good for the people, Turnpoint and Darren Gilmore and John McQuinn, people who just started in January, who those are the slower times of the month. And now to look at a matchback report that came back in March, and now look at a matchback report that just came back, and just see how all that branding just comes together with this envelope, with this letter that Lou and Tom formulated, and brings it all together. And they're swamped. They don't have the capacity, none of these companies, to even keep up with the amount of response that they got from it. It's good to see a clean picture of a matchback report that doesn't take into account a year earlier or anything. So it's, for them, it was very cut and clear that the new customers really did well with it.
Lou, go ahead.
I think the letter worked out well. If we could have had it come out a few weeks earlier, at least for me, that would have been better, because we get hot really quick. In mailboxes on 5/15, so May 15th, which was a little late. The saving grace is we had a really mild. However, we are really hot right now, so the business just comes in. I still would like to see the savings card beefed up a little bit. It's just not heavy duty credit card plastic feel enough. If we could beef that up more. But the open rate is huge on this. We have tracked 227,000 of sales directly off of this. And my year-end closeout that we did in 2020 in December, that was over $500,000 in sales.
227,000 is what you said?
227,000 from this letter.
Okay.
Yeah. So the offers were good for our company. These are the offers that I had put together. Really, the only thing that we were tied into here was we had to get an early bird discount. So we have our discount of $750. Yeah, it was the same one that I had. And then we had a free duct system cleaning, which cost us about $325. There were some nice, easy offers to be able to work into our pricing model. But overall, it was a good piece.
Tom, what about you? What's your feedback here?
My feedback is it's always tricky to know from when the time Ashley says, hey, your stuff has been delivered to the post office, till I'm always asking her for the mailbox dates. Like, when is it going to go in the mailbox? And I remember very distinctly, and she probably can reiterate this, that I was reaching out like probably late morning the day. And I'm like, hey, when are they hitting? We need to know. And it was like, I don't think an hour later, I was like, never mind. We knew they got delivered, because immediately the people in our office were like, I could just hear the call center receiving all the calls. So it was an immediate barrage. I don't have the stats off the top of my head like Lou does, but it was the day it was delivered, the phones were ringing off the hook. It was awesome.
That's wonderful, man. What I'm going to do for you, Ashley, is I'm going to go to the next slide here, and let's talk a little bit about, let's see, I went one too far here. Let's talk a little bit about what we have here for July.
So we put together a couple just new designs and headlines for you all, just to keep things nice and fresh. Of course, we always want to be mindful that we're keeping it branded and with all your colors and pictures of your team and trucks on anywhere we can. So as soon as they pull that out of the mailbox, they know it's your company, but of course, making it seasonally relevant with the offers and headlines and pictures. So here's a couple new ones we have for HVAC. And of course, if you're interested in this design, but maybe don't want to push an AC performance check, we can always say save up to $500 instant rebate on a new system. So we can always work with whatever you're wanting to promote specifically, but just some new designs and headlines here for you to look at. And here's a great new plumbing sample that our graphics team put together. Pretty straightforward there. Ideally, of course, we would want to put in your team or a picture of your team here rather than this generic stock photo, of course. Another fun electrical one. And again, if the oh shit or whatever is a little too, much for your market. I know Lou in particular, I know some of you wouldn't love that for your market. We can always adjust the headline or work with something that's more fitting for your clientele.
And I know we have a lot of home improvement folks here, if I'm not mistaken. When we were preparing here, Ashley and Drew, you wanted to touch on the home improvement opportunity. Ashley or Drew, who wants to talk a little bit about what we're seeing here?
The only thing that I would say here is They overcome what my initial hesitancy would be, is people don't like to see percentage off because it's so arbitrary, like what's a percentage off. But when you see a 40 or 50% off, something like that's obviously something that is going to trigger the phones to ring.
Okay.
People like to see dollar values. And the only other thing to take into consideration is the HVAC and the home improvement business are so different. And like where someone like a Florida Windows and Doors, if they sold somebody, they would want to eliminate that client for life or for a really extended period of time from any mailing and never mail to them as an existing client. Whereas if you have another picture like Window Supplies Plus, who sell multiple products, they technically don't even need to mail to their existing clients. They would just never dedupe because it's a great way to just keep cross-selling products. So it's just a simpler model than the home service industry.
Drew, you're making the point about the offer here. So you're saying in what we've tested, something like 5%, 7%, 10% off really doesn't seem to motivate response. Is that right?
I've been doing this for 20 years with shared mail and all that. And the people who put a dollar figure tend to always do better than the people who put a percentage off.
Okay. Any feedback on that, folks? Any questions about that point that Drew just made? Tom wants to make a point here. Go ahead, Tom.
I can only speak for my companies in Connecticut and Florida, but I think with the advent of Amazon taking off through COVID, before COVID, after COVID, during COVID, people are skeptical of non-prices. We're even seeing it in our call center. If someone says, how much do you charge for? And anything that comes out of our mouth that isn't a number, the conversion rate of those calls goes down. So a percentage is not something they can conceive in their brain. 40% of what? 10% of what?
Right.
Versus I can save $100 or up to $1,200 or an actual number that will have meaning to me. And some comment about the number too that I would say is, and it's maybe just me, but I've been saying a long time, I think what we sell, particularly in home service, largely, and even somewhat in home improvement, is a grudge purchase. In other words, who wants to buy a new roof? It's not as sexy as a new bathroom or a new kitchen. Who wants to buy a new air conditioner? Who wants to replace their duct or repipe their plumbing? So they wait until they have to do it. And so the offer can't be a little bit to get them to move. And Lou's been really good at this, where he's got to give them a really big reason to call, not a little reason, like $10, $20. They're going to walk past that. It's not enough money to motivate them. So a lot of times when people call and they're like, hey, what would you do? I'm like, your offer is too weak. It's not enough for them to understand, and it's not enough to compel them. So percentages, no dice, and small numbers, no dice to me.
Tom, so what do you do? Okay, so obviously if it's like windows and doors, it depends on the size of the house. It depends on the number of windows. And for roofing, I would think the same thing, just the size of the house. So how can you combat that when you really can't quote an exact price on anything without getting out there and seeing it?
We can't. It's the same thing, maybe to a lesser scale with home services. One repipe is 30 grand, one repipe is $7,500. I think from a customer perspective. So if I have 12 windows and I have 30 windows and you said up to $500 back per window, I can go 500 times 12. I get $6,000. I get 500 times 30. I could do the math, make it like ridiculously simple for them to understand in my mind. For roofs, like a friend of mine is a roofer and he's always asking me questions. I'm like, why don't you do things like give them something of value for free? So like you're doing the roof, do the gutter caps for free and say, hey, this is up to $3,500 of value, depending on how big your roof is. The other thing that I think people do, and I don't know how anyone feels about it, but give the max value, like the up to. The letter, for example, says you can get up to 40, mine I think was 47 or 4,900 and change. And everyone's first reaction is, we got to do everything. Well, of course they do. Don't wait to get in their house to give them the thing to get their interest. The purpose is to get their interest. So I think when you don't have a fixed dollar, like $25 off or $50 off or $39 for a safety inspection or a free electrical inspection on a big home improvement, give them something, whether it's an upgrade to some kind of like higher level, to the premier level, upgrade to a better guarantee, something that means something to them. And percentages of an unknown is a double negative. I don't even know what you're talking about. You give me a percentage off of it, it's meaningless. I don't know if that answers it, but I would find something of value that they would relate to. So they don't know about their roof, but they do have to clean their gutter. So can I connect that? That's how I would think about it.
Okay.
Drew, you wanted to add on to that?
Yeah, like maybe Ron would know this, but I got a postcard in the mail where somebody was offering, I guess there are different levels of tankless water heaters. and they were saying, replace your tankless water heater for $1,500. Now, obviously, nobody's doing that, or maybe there's a unit that's subpar or for it, but I guess the people's feeling is that they do $1,500, then they get in the door and they upsell them from there. Anybody have any feelings on whether it be plumbing, like HVAC, or like a water tank or a unit, by offering your lowest price and showing the price of it and then going in and then upselling it, or saying like this isn't conducive for your home, or is that misleading?
I see Ron's got his hand raised, so let's hear from you, Ron. Go ahead and unmute Ron McKenzie. Hey, Ron, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
With plumbing, it's hard for me on a lot of jobs to throw a big sexy number out there. And I'd like your guys' opinion on this. I like to go with, on water heaters, offer a 5-year never write a check guarantee. So for 5 years, no matter what happens to that water heater, you'll never have to write a check, whether it's Christmas night, like whatever. That's how I like to approach that. I'm just wondering to get some thoughts on that from you guys also.
Interesting. Anybody have counterpoint to that? Anyone have any input? Lou, what about you?
Yeah, so I guess just overall comments on what we're talking about here. What I think works really well is providing, it works for any industry, whether it's home service, it's remodel, HVAC, any of the trades, is a free solution to address their issue. Not to solve the problem, but to address the issue. Just like me, I can't give a specific price to replace their HVAC unit, which could range anywhere from $7,500 to $30,000, and I really don't know what I'm going to be coming up against. So I wouldn't do that, but I would offer a free inspection or a $93 drain clear or something like that, 93, or it's free on check. That's a new one that we're offering that's working really well, because if your air's not blowing cold enough or you're not comfortable, a homeowner's going to think I need some more Freon, right? So a Freon check. You're offering a solution to address their problem, not solve it. And it's not about necessarily your offer, it's about the timing of your offer. So being there consistently with your offers to be able to create an opportunity to then offer a customized quote on whatever it is, but you being there at the right time in the home to then provide solutions to them at customized pricing. That's really what it's all about.
So Ron, back over to you. Does that give you some insight or clarity into kind of what you're wondering there?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I get where he's coming with that. Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay,
The
excellent.
place you
And I
could
see-
really leverage that, Ron, is the day your mail arrives is unlikely the day that they need a water heater. That's just sheer blind luck, right? So the mail is to set you up in a position to be the person they think of first and they trust the most when they do need a water heater or they think they need a water heater. And so that, what you said, 5-year never write a check, that is like something to own and get mind share of the customer that, hey, if I ever need a water heater, this guy's going to get me one. I never write a check for 5 years. When they call you, because you branded and marketed, what I find is we already got the sale. It's just a matter of what we're selling. Our direct mail has led us to, like, our top 10 online searches for our company involve our brand name. Only 1 out of 10 doesn't have our name in it for searches. So our pay-per-click is less than $1,000 a month, but our messaging goes out to own a specific idea. And we're actually trying to do water heaters right now, Ron. We're like, ours is all about same day, like about we've got them. We'll be there no matter what, 7 days a week, every type, everything. So it's not the warranty, although I'm probably going to steal your idea along with it. But I want to have people know that Friday night, the water heater goes out, call Griffin. Who are those guys who will get out here no matter what? The price is irrelevant, is what I think at that point. So if you could own that in your marketing, create a logo of it, a badge, something, then you're known for it. And then I think you'll convert more because they're calling, wanting that already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's actually really helpful. Yeah, I think I do it, and I do put it in some mailing, but why shouldn't I be home of the 5-year never write a check guarantee and really in that idea versus just throwing it in as an offer? Yeah, that was super helpful. So I appreciate that. That's good stuff.
So I'm going to read a little bit from the chat, and then Ashley, I'll get back to you and see if you have any other remaining questions on May or July for the group here. But Chris from the Best Postcards team says that, Tom, you make a great point. The coupons aren't as important as the consistent message. And then Sandy at Sidex here says, no comments. I'm just about to start with mailing. So Sandy's just getting started. Sandy, if you have any questions for the group here, that's what this group is here for. And I want to make sure that I draw out of them anything that might be of value to you. Tom Casey, you're saying home of the blank. So that's a template for kind of the idea of what you're talking about here, what we're talking about?
Yeah, own something. Lou Habaika, he's lucky because his name and his jingle is so cool.
Yeah.
His name and his
Lou's
jingle are
singer.
cooler than him, for the record.
Lou's
I say that. But he can own You'll Like a Habaika. Anything he attaches to that is memorable. He says it everywhere. I bet you he has a tattoo somewhere on his body that says that. He says
He
it
does.
everywhere.
He does.
And
Yeah, there he goes.
it's what connects. I agree with Chris 100%. The coupon madness is save it for the coupon magazines and stuff like that. The direct mail or whatever is a direct response is got to meld with a branding. So home of the whatever the hell you want is key. It's just, if I was you, Ron, I'd be home of the 5-year never write a check guarantee. I might do that for everything I sell right now, just so you know. I'm gonna go
Good.
copyright that, and you have to pay me a nickel every time you want to use it.
I already got. I guess it's very good. That's good. That's yeah. I'm on it for sure. That's good stuff.
All right. So Ashley, we went down some good discussion points there. Is there anything else, Ashley, that you'd like from this group? Any other feedback, any other help before we go to the next item here on the agenda?
No, I think that's a lot of great input, and we'll make sure when we're working with all of you individually that we take that into consideration when we're getting your proofs ready. And of course, for July, expect proofs from your graphics or your sales team as you normally would. But if you see anything in particular here that you've liked or want to implement, then shoot us an email and we'll get those going for you.
I'm giggling here at all the Habaika jokes. They're coming in here in the chat. Tom's giving you some feedback. Ashley, new creative looks tight, which is awesome. That's good to hear. Thank you for that. All right, folks, this is the portion of the meeting that when we do this with other groups, people say they get a lot out of. And so for the next 20 minutes or so, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the top questions that you all submitted in advance of today's mastermind. And we're going to go through the major questions that we heard, as well as some of the things that have recently popped up on the radar. And I want you to be able to hear multiple points of view on some of these important questions, these questions that we know are important to all of you. So please continue to chat with us. Raise your hand if you want to come on the air. There are a few people I'm going to call on, and most of you know who you are, so you're ready. I'm going to turn to the first question here. I know this is foremost on everyone's mind. What's everybody doing and hire new qualified staff? What's working? What's not working? We have a couple examples that we want to bring up here on the screen in terms of some of the things that we're seeing you guys do. But if anybody wants to give feedback on that, please raise your hand.
Richard's here on the phone.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Awesome,
up,
Richard.
brother?
Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. We wanted to hear a little bit from you about some of the mailers that you're doing to find talent, to find new people to bring into your company.
So we're doing postcard mailer every month to every licensed journeyman and master plumber in the state of Georgia, because at some point during the year, they're not going to be happy where they're working. And that postcard's going to hit, and they're going to give me a call, and they're going to come to work for me.
Is it similar to what I have here on the screen? I don't know if you can see it right now, but Drew or Ashley, can you confirm this? Is this kind of the format that he's using?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Dave, 1 second. I think Richard, what have you gotten 7 or 8 employees in the 4 months that you've been doing it? So
we got a total of 8 employees in 4 months.
It's a
Wow.
slow process, and it's not like a direct mail piece where, to the consumer, the longer they see it, the wives push their husbands saying, hey, why are you working under these conditions? Why aren't you getting all these benefits that are listed here? We can get 5,000. Yeah, I know Lou has a very different opinion that works very well for him, but there's been relative good amount of success for him with it.
So let me look Lou in a second.
It works really well because you're branding yourself with plumbers in your market. And then when you're doing other types of advertising, there are postcards from them. We're same with pay-per-click. So they see your name every month. And whenever they're ready for a job, they're going to come to you first.
Love it. Tom, let me go to you first, and then I'll go to Lou here in a second. So Tom, tell us about this here.
I agree exactly with Richard said. It's not, again, if a guy's looking for a job, I probably don't want to hire him. If it gets to his house, he's like, great, I'm looking for a job to go back to work. I'm trying to get in the mind of them and put a wig in their brain that is the little angel and devil on the shoulder saying, when that day comes, and I know it will come, you're going to get mad at your boss, just like always happens if the culture is not right. You'll have seen this card multiple times, or sometimes somebody will be bitching in and you'll say, hey, you know what? You ought to go see these guys. So it's an investment. It's less than actually online recruiting. And I think it's to a better target. The other thing it sends a message to the marketplace is these guys are busy. These guys are hiring all the time. These guys are offering bonuses. It puts a lot of pressure on everybody. So I've actually seen in the Florida market where people who weren't offering higher bonuses are. So good news. I got to cost them some money. I love that. I've also seen that people who didn't offer some of the same benefits have had to step up their benefits. And if they have got to spend more money like I am, that means they got to raise their prices. And when they raise their prices, I get to raise my prices. So it's a rising tide raises all boats thing, but it is not like send it out for 30 days and you're gonna have all the employees you want. You got to send it out repetitively.
Ashley, do you want to add something there?
Yeah, just quickly, Tom. I know a lot of one that we get a lot on these recruiting and with the signing bonuses, just really how you implement that $5,000. Like you're not giving them that upfront the day they get hired. So maybe if you could just tell us a little bit about how you do that.
Sure. We give it to them on starting at the 30th, the pay cycle after 30 days, a pay cycle for 60 days, 90 days for the period of months. And if they leave after that, we take responsibility as a business owner. We didn't do the right screening, interviewing, hiring. We made a desperation hire. We even go beyond that. Like we pay retention bonuses. We give a referral bonus. So you can get a sign-on bonus. And if somebody referred you, they can get a referral bonus. I believe the number one problem facing all businesses, but particularly skilled trades, is going to be talent. Whoever controls the talent in a market can control the market. So if somebody has a cheaper price, but they can't get there, and I have all the best techs, I can charge what I want to charge if you want service today. So that's definitely one of our strategies moving forward. And this was part of it when I approached Andrew and said, I have this crazy idea, Andrew. And he said, man, that's the craziest idea I ever saw. I said, well, ask some people. I bet you they're going to love it. And lo and behold, it's working. So it's good news.
Lou, let's contrast that with what you do. So we've got an example here on the left and then also a Facebook post here on the right. Tell us about what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so I have a different perspective. Typically somebody that has experience, they're not bikeable, and I did trade name that. So making somebody bikeable is really challenging with somebody that already knows what they're doing. They know how to do it, they're experienced, they know the trade, the skill, whatever it is, and it's hard to convert them to our way, the bike way. My perspective on money hiring bonuses, I don't do that. Money will get them, money won't keep them. And so what you see here is culture is what will keep them. So if you did bring somebody on with a hiring bonus, you're going to have to make them bikeable, bikeize them, and then keep them with culture. The number of individuals I'm successful in doing that is a very small percentage. We have a fast track apprenticeship program, and I can take a know nothing, nobody, days of David Rosendahl. In 6 weeks, I can have you out on your own and then build upon you and multi-trade train you very quickly. That's my perspective. It's totally different, but the money isn't. It'll get them, it just won't keep them. The culture will. So focus on the culture and create the individuals. I can teach and train skills, trades and skills on plumbing, heating, air conditioning, electrical, all that. That's easy to teach and train, but I can't teach people skills. What you have in people skills, you already have learned. They've been ingrained from family, from growing up, from people, friends. I can't change that. It's really difficult. So I give up on that, and I just find a really good marketing individual presents himself that wants to, by chance, learn a trade and then teach them the trade.
And then on the right side of the screen, which I'm going to bring up here in a second, you're running events.
Every single month. So that's another important feature. When you're hiring 365, you always want to be hiring. I don't hire for the need. I don't hire because I'm busy and I have all this work and I need more people. That's a grandiose thought. But when you do need the people, everybody else needs the people. So you're not going to find good people. You're going to find the leftover crappy people. It's just not going to work out well. And they're not going to be bikeable. So at that point, we do have a hiring event every month, the third Thursday of every month at 6:30 p.m., the same time. And then we use our recruiting card to be able to feed into that on Facebook and other recruiting means online. And we feed that hiring event every month. Now, if somebody comes in and they're a hot prospect, certainly we're going to meet with them ahead of time, but the general feed on just generally updating and bringing in new apprentices and more help, and people that want to join our team, they come to our monthly hiring event, and everybody knows when it is. It's always promoted, same time, same place, same date, and they can feed into it.
So I have a question for everybody here. Can you let me know in the chat, is anybody else running events, hiring events like this? Let us know if you are or if you're not. I see, Ron, you said that it's a great balance of both styles, and that's unbeatable. So it's good to hear both perspectives. What we have here on the screen, Ashley or Drew, can you just speak briefly to what we're looking at here and how we can help with these kinds of campaigns?
I saw this one. I saw Jason Groom's. These ones are both pretty new. I don't have any feedback on them, but we kind of just looked at Lou's piece, we looked at Tom's piece, and we said, hey, here's the best of both worlds. So if you look at Ari Nichols, it's got that kind of dare to compare where we have the experience on the backside, if you flip back, benefits. So we picked up that piece. And then also we really love the idea of the check and getting it that way. So far, I usually give it about 3 months before I really decide whether it's a winning piece or not. So these ones are all in month 1 and 2. So I don't have a ton of strong feedback other than the fact that I know they're getting interviews. I don't know how many hires they've gotten out of it, but I can see that, like I said, I put it in the chat, and we laughed about it all the time. The biggest reason that they're calling is the wives see it and they say, you hate your job. I'm sick of listening to you bitch and moan, but I'll take the $5,000. So that's what's been working really well on it. And like I said, I like to play around with the pieces. And when I come to these things, I do the same thing you guys do, where I try to take the best of both, take the best a little bit from what Lou says, a little bit from Tom, and pull it all together into different pieces and see how it works.
So I see, Bill, you said you did an event last month. You had about 15 people there and made 1 hire. Just curious for you, Lou, what is your conversion rate? Let's say you have, out of every 100 people that show up, how many do you end up eventually hiring? Do you have any stats on that?
I'll take a stab at it. I have 100 people show up. My percentage, I will hire out of 100, we'll hire in the teens. So I'm going to say 15 to 20% of that 100.
Okay.
So we have a pretty good hire rate.
Okay, that's helpful. I'm going to move to the second here, just being mindful of the time. This was a question that came in a couple of different ways, and I'm hoping to hear from as many of you as possible. The question being, and I'm sure a lot of you are wondering this, what new strategy are your peers here using to set yourself apart from the competition? Let me start with you, Tom Casey, if you can just give us a little insight into what is it that you're doing right now that's maybe new, that's different, that you're experimenting with, that maybe you don't know if it's going to work, but you're trying something. What would something like that be?
I really like the no breakdown guarantee. I just think a lot of our clients don't really understand it and grasp it and understand how to explain it to the client, where as you're not giving them a $69 AC tune-up, and that's the end of it.
The no breakdown guarantee we've been doing it for quite a while. It's not new, but it works really well. Essentially, anytime we do a system check for a fee, we will guarantee that it won't break for whatever the season is. And the big thought I think everyone thinks is you're giving them a service agreement or you're giving them a warranty, or you're going to pay for their repairs. And that's not at all what we're going to do. What we're trying to do is lock up the service call. So for example, we do an AC tune-up, and then you have a no breakdown guarantee. In the middle of August, your AC breaks. Who are you going to call? You're going to call Ghostbusters because we have a no breakdown guarantee. So we're going to send somebody out for no diagnostic fee to determine why your AC is broken. And we're not going to fix it. We're not going to replace it. We're going to change parts. We're going to come back and say, hey, you might like a Habica, but you're going to love Casey. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and, should we fix this thing? Should we replace? We want to be on that breakdown opportunity. The money opportunity, the flip opportunity is the breakdown. So by getting in an affordable maintenance, affordable system check, then having a way back in that doesn't cost them any money when it's broken, I'm locking them twice is how we do it. And we get a lot of calls. We go out to them happily and they love it. And the reality of it is, if it is, a lot of times you had that conversation in the maintenance call, right? It's aged, it's whatever. And then it breaks down later on. And when you go out there, they're already primed for it. And because you came out for free and you didn't play games, you didn't go to the fine print, you didn't tell them any other stuff, they buy the system.
Go ahead, Lou.
Tom and I are near blood brothers, but so we have a little bit different perspective on how we go to market our brand. We're all about the relationship. So I have trade named Habica Eyes. So we are Habica-izing the home. That's what we're promoting. And what that means is the same technician, Lou, will come to your home, and Lou can not only address your HVAC, heating and cooling, comfort, indoor quality, but he can address your plumbing, your drain, your sewer, your electrical, your security, your water, hot water heater, water conditioning, water testing, air testing. He can address all of it. They love Lou, right? And they want and they trust Lou, so they're going to want to use Lou for everything. So our goal is to own the home of all the major services, and then as well own the homeowner, because homeowners do move. When they move, we still want to own that home and then move. But anyways, Hobicaizing the home. And the last part of that is we're a little different in that we cross-train our technicians with all of the trades. They may not be an expert at solving all the issues, but they can present solutions, sell the solution, and be part of making that repair if they choose to, or get somebody in of our team that can actually do the repair. But anyway, so Hobicaizing your home that's the direction that we go.
Awesome. All right. I don't want to miss out on an opportunity to hear from you all on this one. How do you all convert leads or quotes who don't end up buying? Let's chat about that for a few moments here. Tom, I'm going to go to you first, and then also I see Lou, I see your hand up. So let's go, Tom. What do you do in this situation?
Obviously, in the case of an install or a project quote, the salesman, we call him project manager, he gets to follow up for a certain period of time. Okay. And basically his period of time is as long as he has the next action planned. So if he's, hey, I quoted Chris Wetmore and we'll see what they do next week, it's immediately out of his hands. It immediately is eligible to be followed up on by somebody else on the team. If he says, I quoted Chris Wetmore and I'm meeting him on Tuesday to sit down with him and his wife, well, then we'll do some happy calls and thank yous and things, but we won't actually put him in the follow-up funnel until Tuesday. And if he meets with him Tuesday, as long as he has a plan, that's his lead to follow up on and own. The second it's no longer his lead, we have an inside sales rep and she calls up to do a happy call. And she will see how the call went, make sure we did everything we wanted to do. And she now has permission to move forward and try to close that deal. And she will then get a piece of the commission for doing so. The sales guys initially were pushed back on it because, wait a minute, I did it, but they weren't closing those anyway. So we showed them, she's going to get less, she's going to get a quarter of the commission. You're going to get 75% of the commission. And she's the one closing the deal. Why don't you? Now they're literally saying, hey, Sarah, could you call and follow up on this one? They're literally telling her to do it. So that moved the needle quite a bit, which we also then moved it down to our DSRs that they can follow up on unsold service quotes for plumbing or HVAC or whatever their department is. And the same thing, they can take and get a spiff off of what they convert that the technicians did not convert. That's been a pretty big impact for us.
So Lou, go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, sure. So on every in-home service, the first thing that we'll do is immediately after we've left the service, we will send a thank you text. Thank you for your trust and confidence in our service, just thanking them. And as well as a second time asking for a 5-star review. We asked while we're in the home, we're going to ask again with the link there just to solidify that relationship. Immediately following that, they're plugged into Service Titan Marketing Pro, which we have automated email on all open estimates. They're automatically plugged into Hatch, which is automated text follow-ups on all open estimates in Service Titan. And then we have outbounding as well, where we will outbound on all open estimates. So we're hitting them email, text, phone call. And then within a week with the best postcard, we send a personalized thank you card to them, just thanking them for their trust and confidence. Inside there's a $50 off thank you card. And on the reverse side, the Fast Pass guaranteeing 24-hour service, or the service call fee is free. So again, it's not about the offer or the solution. They just may not be ready. I can provide 10 different options and estimates, and they may not go with any of them because the timing isn't right. Maybe they needed to wait until their neighbor or somebody at work, or they heard a horror story online, Facebook, and something happened, or maybe they heard a noise and, oh my God, I think it's going to blow. I should have listened to Tom. Now timing is right. So being there all the time, keeping top of mind with a reason to come back, that's really what is powerful for us.
So Chris is asking a good question here, Lou. Are you following up with other services or just on their original quote?
All open estimates, every open estimate.
Yeah. And so Tom, when you're following up and they had an HVAC, they're putting in a new system, so you had a quote for that, and you keep following up with them, which is great. Or are you guys coming back and saying, hey, I know you were interested in getting a new system. Let me ask you a question. We also have the $69 drain cleaning special. Are they pushing other services as well, just to try to get you back into the home?
So on Service Titan Marketing Pro, we will cross-pollinate every service call for all services. So if I came to you for HVAC, Chris, you're going to get a plumbing a drain sewer, you're going to get electrical, you're going to get security, and in specific high-end zip codes, you're going to get wine cellar. So we're going to cross-pollinate all the services that we do. Hatch is specifically for that estimate, those open estimates, whatever they are, and that'll go to a 10-day period. The Marketing Pro will go about 2 weeks to vet through all of those. And outbounding, yes, we do offer all of the other services, free inspections, free on check, free whole house plumbing safety inspection, whole house electrical safety inspection. So we will offer those as well on the live outbound calls. That answers your question.
Yeah, perfect. Like I said, I just want to know if, when you say, hey, how do we convert leads into sales? Even if you went in there for an HVAC lead, selling a new heating system, that they might not be the right time for them, but they might need electrical service. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. So we cross-pollinate everything all the time, and every team member is spiffed and bonused for any and all of those. So a dispatcher call comes in and they just want to schedule an HVAC maintenance. It's getting hot. I need to have my unit looked at. We're going to at that time offer at the same time, free whole home electrical safety inspection, plumbing safety inspection, free water test, free indoor air quality test. If they schedule any one of those, they're going to get $10 for every one of those free ones that they schedule. So they're in some good spiffs in just getting those scheduled for that same one-time visit.
Bill, you mentioned in the chat there that your method, and Bill, I can see you there in the lower left of my screen, so thank you for sending this in. Relentless follow-up. That's what you do. I think that's what you're hearing from the others as well. Tom, I see your answer. You're saying our ISR will offer cross services and trades. For example, hey, if you're not going to replace it, of course you want to get it serviced, right? And all prospects get follow-up forever for all services. That's from Tom. So yeah, very helpful, folks. I hope that was useful to you. Hey, look, before I let you go and before I give Andrew the final word here, was this helpful to you? Was this useful? Would you let us know in the chat? Even if you didn't go on the air, that's okay. But at least, did you grab a nugget of something useful for you, for your business, to grow your organization, to grow your sales, grow your business? Please let us know in the chat. Go over the chat. Give us a little insight there, because we're going to use that feedback to prepare for the next session and hopefully continue to improve these to bring you more and more value each time. So I see David Hurst giving us a fire symbol there in the chat, which I assume means good. That's awesome. Lou says better format. Ron says outstanding. I have my action items. Tom says excellent give and take. Janess says yes, always helpful. Please, folks, give us that gift of some feedback. Drop it in there in the chat. Thank you, Lou. Appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew for the final word here.
Just want to thank everybody for obviously being part of our team, our ecosystem, working with us. We do listen. It might seem like we're a little stubborn or ignorant or something like that, but we obviously changed the format. And I think going forward, this is going to lead to a platform that will actually be an actionable, usable event for people to share their pain points and also their successes.
That's great, Drew. And I see, let's see, somebody was asking, David Hurst was asking for the recording. We will send out the recording to everybody, so you'll get that. It looks like Chris says, thank you, good job. David says, yeah, you are stubborn, Drew. David's having a good hair day. Is that me or somebody else, Lou? Appreciate that. Okay, me, thank you. Tom says, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate y'all. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We don't want to hold you any longer. I'm glad this has been useful. If you have any other feedback, please let us know in the chat. I'll leave it open for a few seconds once we do shut this down. Of course, you know how to reach your team here at the Best Postcard. So let us know if you have any other feedback after the event. And we look forward to seeing you again soon on the next Mastermind. Thank you all very much for your time. Have a good rest of your night. Bye-bye, everybody.